Hi, I'm Jonathan from BTFS Europe, and what's on my mind today is multi-factor authentication or two-factor authentication. This is a topic I talked about 6 months ago, but I just wanted to revisit it today because there's a new option that's been added into Koha, which is the ability to enforce that authentication so that staff have to use multi-factor authentication. So just to show you, sort of go back and revisit how that's all set up, I'm just going to log in with my staff account. And you'll see from this that I don't have any authentication enabled right now, aside from my password. Now, if I go into administration and we just search for 2FA, this is the system reference here that switches on and enables the multi-factor authentication. So you can see it's actually got 3 settings now: the ability to have it turned off, enable it, or enforce it. So we'll just go step by step through each of these 3 processes. So the first thing I'm going to do is just to enable it so that it's available for you. So I'm just going to save that, log myself back out again, and then log back in again. Now, what this should do at this point is allow me to log in, because although I've enabled it, I haven't switched it on for my particular staff account here. So it should just let me in with my username and password, which it does. That's correct. So let's just go to my account and have a look at how that's set up. So from the More menu, when that's enabled, you'll see this new option here, Manage Two-Factor Authentication. And when you go here, there's a button to enable it. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm just going to enable the two-factor authentication. And you can see here, it gives you a couple of options for sort of token apps you can use. So they recommend Authy, LastPass, so on. But I'm actually using Google Authenticator. That's my preferred authentication tool or app, but you could use whichever one you like. So I can either add this manually. Typically, your app will have a plus button to allow you to add the new token. But the easy way to do it will be to scan this QR code, and that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm just going to scan the QR code. So I'm going to get my phone and just scan that. So that's added it. In order to make sure that I've done that correctly, it's asking me to enter the PIN code that's currently on my device, which I'm going to do, just to register it, and that's it. It's enabled now. So the button now is the button there to disable it. So again, I'm just going to log out of here, and I'm going to log back in again with my username and my password. And this time, it should ask me for a token, which it does. Now, I could use the token off my Authenticator app on my phone, or I can use this button here, which is the ability to send the code by email. So if you haven't got your phone with you, but you do have access to your email, then that's a sort of fallback method if you don't have your Authenticator app to hand. Now, I'm just going to take this token here that's in my Authenticator app and paste it in, and that should let me in. So that's great. It's probably also worth saying that I'm using Koha's new built-in authentication, two-factor authentication. Of course, if you're using, if you've delegated your authentication to a third-party tool like Shibboleth, Azure AD, or something like that, then your authentication methods are going to be delegated in effect to that system. So typically, if you've perhaps got something like Azure AD on or OpenAuth, so using Google Authentication, then the ability to turn on or off multi-factor authentication is also delegated to that application. So you'll probably find that Azure is asking you for your token for Azure rather than Koha. So this really is designed if you're using built-in authentication from Koha. So that's important to note. But that's what I'm doing here. So I'm just going to go back into here and do that search again. And this time I'm going to set it to enforce. But before I do that, I'm just going to go back to my my account, and I'm just going to disable my two-factor authentication just to turn it off. Okay, so I've turned it off again. And let's just go back to that system preference. And this time I'm going to enforce it and log out. So this means that anybody who has a staff account in the Koha intranet is going to be asked to enable this functionality. So I'm going to log out. And if you remember, the last time I did this, I would log straight in and then went to set it up. But this time, if I log in, got a different screen this time. And again, we get this message about recommendation of which authenticator to app and the ability how to add the token manually. But I can't go beyond the login stage without completing this process. So this is what the screen looks like. And I'm going to do exactly the same again. I'm just going to add this by scanning it into my app. I'm going to take the code and I'm going to enter it. Then I redirect it to the login. And I'm going to log in again. And it's asked me to verify my code once more. So I've got a new token again now, and I'm in. You'll notice, the other thing you'll notice, if I go to my account and just go back to the manage two-factor authentication, if I disable this now within Koha, then you'll see this message, because we've got that enforced system preference set, that it's actually mandatory. So next time you log in, you'll be asked to set it all up. So that's how it all works. One useful little thing that might be helpful is under reports. What I've done is to create a report that just shows us which staff users haven't got their two-factor authentication set. So perhaps if you haven't enforced it, but you have enabled it, and you want to perhaps go round and work with your staff to help them set it up, perhaps sit with them and help them go through this process. Or even if you just want to see who hasn't actually set up their enforced two-factor authentication, a report like this might be quite helpful. So let's just run that now. And you can see that I've currently got only one borrower in the system, staff borrower in the system who's got two-factor authentication enabled, and that's me. So we just have a look at the SQL of that to get an idea of what's going on here. But what I'll do is just edit this now, and I'll reverse the query just to see who hasn't got two-factor authentication enabled. So I've made it a shriek equals does not equals two-factor authentication. Update that and run the report. So you can see there's quite a few staff members who haven't got two-factor authentication enabled. So I could perhaps go around to those users now and just help them set that up. And again, there's the SQL query behind that. So I hope you found that useful. It's a good security enhancement to Koha, and we hope you'll be using it. And hopefully you found this video useful, and we'll see you next time.